आज बहुत ही सुंदर अवसर है
Today we have a very beautiful opportunity
एकत्रित हो सके
to get together here.
और सत्संग सुनने का समय है।
It's an opportunity to listen to satsang.
तो वो समय कितना सुंदर होता है
And how beautiful is that time
जब मनुष्य
when the human being
सत्संग सुनता है।
has the chance to listen to satsang,
उससे बढ़िया
to listen to
वो
the
समय
master.
होता है
And greater than
वो
that
सत्संग को
is the time
समझता है।
when the person understands
सुनना एक बात
what
है,
he hears. To listen is one thing, to understand is another. Here there are people sitting.
पहले जब आते हैं
At first, when they leave from home, they're thinking, oh, we've got to go, we've got to go, we've got to go. As soon as they sit down here, then they start thinking about, we have to go, we have to go, we have to go home.
क्योंकि मनुष्य का मन काबू में नहीं है।
Because the mind of the person is not under control.
मनुष्य का मन काबू में नहीं है, वो जहाँ-जहाँ भागना चाहता
The
है
mind of the human being is not under control. Wherever it runs, the human being runs after it. How beautiful is that time when a human being recognizes the living master of the time. Because after the master leaves, then to sing his glory, to worship him is very easy. But whilst alive, to know, and whilst the master is alive, to have the opportunity to experience devotion. Afterwards, people want to experience devotion. Afterwards.
जब नल का सूख गया तब उसकी आरती करते हैं। क्योंकि महापुरुष तो हमेशा
Because the masters and the saints have always said, what you want to do, you should do now.
जो करना है
Whatever you need to do it now, not later.
क्यों?
Why?
इसी प्रकार कहा है कि
That's why it's been said, if you are hungry, eat now.
आगे हाथ न बढ़िया।
There is nothing ahead. So wandering mind, wandering soul, be aware what you load on your shoulders. What you need to do now. We don't know what's ahead. But there are people who listen, but they don't understand. That's why I said how beautiful it is when we have a chance to listen to satsang, but greater than that is the chance when we understand what we hear from the master. Devotion, these days people experience a lot of devotion, but they don't understand they're devoted to what. Devotion to what? People think they're having devotion for God, but it's not for God. Pay attention to what I'm saying. People have devotion for God so that their wishes of their mind can be fulfilled, right? So the devotion is for the mind. And if God comes in the middle of it, where you have to use God to fulfill your wishes of the mind, then fine, here you'll offer a couple bananas to God too. Just like when you go to buy vegetables, when you go to purchase vegetables, your relationship is with the vegetables, not with the person who owns the store. You're not going to buy the person who owns the store. And if you go to that person and you want cauliflower and they don't have cauliflower, then you'll leave that place and you'll go and find your cauliflower elsewhere, because your connection is with getting the cauliflower. So people say, do this, do that, walk here, walk there, wear this, and your wishes of your mind will be fulfilled. And what does it mean, wishes of the mind? Where is the connection with devotion with wishes of the mind? Which master, which saint made a connection, made a bridge between fulfillment of the mind's wishes and devotion? Instead, he said, the masters have said, don't follow the mind. The mind will trick you. Follow God. And why do people follow their mind? If the desires of their mind are not fulfilled in one temple, then they'll go elsewhere. If it doesn't get fulfilled there, they'll go to another temple. Because what they're connected to is fulfillment of their wishes of their mind, and the excuse is devotion. But devotion is to the mind. The devotion is for that desire. Devotion is not to God. And because the devotion is not happening for God, what is that devotee getting? Even having everything, he does not experience joy. He does not experience peace. He does not experience calm. He's getting everything else. That is the condition of the world. No matter where you go. You see, there's one love. There's one love that you have for God. Because you know that God. You have recognized God. And the God that you know and recognize, you can have devotion toward Him. The one that you don't know, the one that you have not recognized, how can you have devotion for Him? Why? Why? In the same way that if you don't know somebody, do not recognize the person, you cannot love them. Another word for love, when God comes in the middle, you don't call it love, you call that devotion. Devotion. The thing is the same. But if you don't know the person, if you don't recognize the person, how are you going to love them? You know the name, and that's all. You only know the name and nothing else. Now, it's been said, and it's very beautiful, that the magnet is attracted to the iron. There's a love between the magnet and the iron. And Kabir says, the same is with the words of the Master that can really save you from the hand of death. Because the thing is the same. It's just about one thing. There's only a little difference. The Master also talks about heaven. He also wants you to experience heaven, to reach heaven. So the Master talks about heaven. He wants you to reach heaven, but the difference is the religious people in the world talk about heaven after death, and the Master talks to you about heaven whilst you are alive. Religions and all the things that are happening in this world, it's fulfillment of your mind's desire, fulfillment of the mind's desires. But the difference is just this, that the wishes of the heart, may the wishes of your heart be fulfilled. That's the blessings of the Master. That's the blessings of the Master. Not the fulfillment of your mind. The Master will never give you the blessings to have the fulfillment of your mind. The Master who says the fulfillment of your mind, then you almost have to explain to that Master. So what are you talking about? Are you after the mind? Because like it said, you may be sitting in one place, but your mind is running elsewhere. How are you going to be colored by that joy of that devotion? Why are you following that mind instead of your heart? The Master says, fulfill the wishes too, but fulfill the wishes of your heart, not of your mind. And what is the wish of your heart?
उस अविनाशी से प्रेम करना चाहता है,
The heart, your heart, only wants to have that love for that immortal. It has no wishes. Give me this, give me that, give me a son.
लॉटरी लगा दो, कोई
Let me win the
क्या-क्या
lottery.
भगवान के पास लोग
Because
हैं।
people ask for so many different things from God.
अरे लॉटरी तो तेरी लग गई,
You have won the lottery. You are alive.
और जब तेरे अंदर ये श्वास आता है,
And when this
तेरी लॉटरी
breath
लग गई।
comes within you,
और
you
तेरे
have
को
won
बात
the
कब समझ
lottery.
में आएगी?
And you'll only understand
जब
this
ये श्वास का आना जाना
when
बंद होगा, तब
the
तब
coming
तेरे
and
को समझ
going
में
of this
आएगी
breath will
कि
stop.
सबसे बड़ी तेरी लॉटरी लग
That's when you'll realize that was the greatest lottery
आया,
you had.
गया।
It
वही
came,
बात
it
है
went.
कि मनुष्य की आदत है, खाली हाथ आता
Just
है,
like the
खाली
habit that the human being has, he comes empty-handed and
और
leaves
कितना सुंदर
empty-handed.
समय है
But
जब
what a
कोई
beautiful
आकर के
time
ये
this
बताता
is
है कि तुमको
when
खाली हाथ
somebody
जाने की
comes
जरूरत
and
नहीं।
explains to you, you
तो
don't
कोई ये
need to
आके
leave
बताता है कि अगर
empty-handed.
भक्ति करनी है तो
When
ऐसी
someone
भक्ति
comes and
करो,
says, if you want to experience
जिसमें
devotion,
प्रेम ही प्रेम है,
experience the devotion that's
असली
just
प्रेम,
filled
असली
with love,
भक्त बनो,
love and only love, the true love,
असली
and
भक्त
be
बनो,
the true devotee.
असली भक्ति करो।
Be the true devotee, experience
और
the
कब
real
होती है वो
devotion.
असली भक्ति?
And when does that
जब
happen?
मनुष्य
The real
को
devotion?
उससे
When that
अविनाशी
human
से
being
प्रेम हो जाता।
falls in love with that immortal.
अब प्रेम की बात,
Now we talk about love, and people
हम
might
प्रेम
say,
होता
well,
है,
I'm
हमको
in
बेटी
love
से
too.
प्रेम।
I love my wife.
हाँ, जब तक वो दो रोटी
Yeah,
बना के देगी,
as long as she makes your meals for you, there's
जब तक
love.
तुम्हारी खातिरदारी
As long as
करेगी,
she takes
तब
care
तक
of
तुमको
you,
प्रेम है।
you have love for her.
और वो हर रोज
And if every day
तुम्हारे घर में,
in your house,
हर रोज
every
नया
day,
बॉयफ्रेंड लेके
she
आए,
would bring home a new
कितनी
boyfriend,
देर टिकेगा तुम्हारा प्रेम?
how long will your love last?
कितनी देर टिकेगा तुम्हारा
How long will your love last?
है? एक सेकंड नहीं टिकेगा।
It won't last even for a second.
जब तक माहौल घर
As
में
long
वो
as
है
the
जो तुम
environment
चाहते
in
हो,
your
तुम
house
खुश
is the
हो,
way
और
you
जिस
want
दिन
it,
वो
you're
माहौल
happy.
थोड़ा सा इधर से उधर हो
And the
गया,
day that that environment changes even just a little bit,
ये
you're not
प्रेम
happy.
नहीं है, ये
That's not
तुम्हारी
love.
मनोकामनाओं की पूर्ति
That
का एक
is
साधन है।
a
तुमने भी
tool
अपने
to
मन में
fulfill
ये
one of
सारी
the
चीजें,
wishes
ये
of your
सारे
mind.
आधार बना
Because in your
रखे हैं कि
mind, you've
ऐसा
also
मेरा
had
घर
it
होना
where
चाहिए,
I
ऐसी
want a
मेरी
house
बीवी
like
होनी
this, I
चाहिए,
want a
ऐसे मेरे
wife
बच्चे
like
होने
this, I
चाहिए,
want
ऐसे
children
मेरा
like this,
बॉस होना
I want
चाहिए,
a
ऐसे
boss
मेरी
like
कार होनी
this,
चाहिए,
I want a
ऐसे मेरी
car
भैंस
like
होनी
this,
चाहिए,
I want a
ऐसे मेरी
buffalo
गौ
like
होनी
this,
चाहिए,
I want a
ऐसे मेरा
cow
कुत्ता
like
होना
this, I
चाहिए,
want a
बिल्ली होनी
dog
चाहिए,
like this, I want a
ऐसे
cat
मेरे
like
चूहे
this,
होने चाहिए,
I
ऐसे
want
मेरा घर
mice
होना
like
चाहिए,
this, I
ऐसे
want a
मेरा,
house like
जब
this.
तक वो सब कुछ है,
As long as all of those things are there,
तब तक तो आदमी ठीक है।
till then, the human being is
जहाँ
fine.
उसमें परिवर्तन हुआ,
But as soon as there's some
चूहे बड़े हो गए,
change, the mice grow
छोटे
up.
हैं, कोई बात नहीं,
When they're little, it's
छोटे
fine.
छोटे छोटे छोटे
Tiny,
छोटे
tiny,
होंगे,
tiny mice,
तो ज्यादा नहीं चिल्लाओ,
then you
वो
won't
बड़े बड़े
scream
हो
too
जाएं,
loud.
इतने
But when they
बड़े,
become
इधर
big
उधर
like
जाने
this
लगे,
and they
तुम्हारे
start
ऊपर
going
आने
all
लगे,
over
तुमको
and they
काटने
climb
लगे,
on you and they bite
गड़बड़ हो
you,
जाएगी।
then that's a problem.
तो ये है मनुष्य,
So that's the human being.
और आज
And
संसार
today,
कहता है
the world says,
ये भक्ति वक्ति में कुछ नहीं रखा,
there's nothing there in this whole
जब
devotion
नकली है,
thing.
नकली करोगे तो क्या
If it's
रखा है?
not real, then what are you going to get in it?
गुरु महाराज जी कहते हैं कि
But the
अगर
master
तुमको
says,
मुक्ति की
if
बात
you
गुरु महाराज
want
जी भी
that
करते हैं,
liberation, and the master speaks of liberation too.
मुक्ति की बात गुरु महाराज जी भी
The
करते हैं,
master
गुरु
speaks
महाराज
of
जी कहते हैं कि
liberation,
जीते
but he
जाते
says,
मुक्त हो जाओ,
have that experience of liberation whilst you are
उसके बाद
alive.
क्या होगा
What will happen after you
किसी
die?
को नहीं मालूम,
Nobody knows.
क्या होगा इस शरीर का,
What will happen to this
क्या होगा इस
body?
दिमाग का,
What
क्या
will
होगा
happen
इन
to this
आंखों का, क्या
mind,
होगा
to
इस
these
सांस का, क्या
eyes,
होगा
to
इस
this
समय?
breath?
क्या होगा?
What will
सब
happen?
बाद में उन्होंने कहा तुम मिट्टी हो, मिट्टी
And the
में मिल
master
जाओगे, बस ये
and the saints have said, you came from dirt, you go back to dirt. That's what will happen.
सुना है ना तुमने, सुना है ना,
And you've heard this, haven't you?
माटी का खिलौना माटी में मिल
You are a
जाएगा,
toy made of dirt,
सुना है?
and one day you will go back to
विश्वास
dirt.
करते
You've
हो?
heard this, right? But do you believe it?
बिल्कुल नहीं,
Not at all.
सवाल ही नहीं पैदा होता है विश्वास,
It's not even a question about believing
कैसे
it,
विश्वास कर ले?
trusting it.
अरे अगर कोई इस बात पे विश्वास कर लेगा कि
If somebody
माटी का
truly
खिलौना
understood
माटी
this,
में मिल जाएगा,
that I am a toy made of
मान
dirt,
मेरा
and one day I
कहना,
will go
नहीं
back
तो पछताएगा,
to that
माटी
dirt,
का
I better
खिलौना
believe
माटी में
this,
मिल
or
जाएगा,
else I will
आदमी
regret
एक
it.
सेकंड भी अपना
Then
जीता
a
जागता
human
बर्बाद
being
नहीं करेगा।
would not waste even 1 second whilst he is alive.
जीता जागता आदमी एक सेकंड भी
A
बर्बाद
human being would not waste even 1 second of his life
करता है,
while being alive. But he does.
बर्बाद करता है.
He wastes.
और क्यों करता है
And
बर्बाद?
why does he waste it?
क्योंकि ये बात उसने सुनी
Because
जरूर
he's
है.
heard these words.
माटी का खिलौना माटी में
The
मिल
toy
सकता
made
है.
of dirt
पर
one day will
समझता
go back
नहीं.
to dirt, but he does not
इसलिए मैंने
understand
कहा
it.
कि सत्संग सुनना
That's why I said to
बहुत सुंदर
listen
है,
to
उसका
satsang, to
सुंदर
listen
क्या
to
है?
the master
वो
is
समझ.
beautiful, but more beautiful than that is to really
क्या तुम
understand.
समझ रहे हो मैं जो कह रहा हूँ?
Do you understand what I'm saying?
तुम्हारे हित की बात कर रहा हूँ.
It's for your own good.
मेरा काम है तुमको जगाना.
My work is to
माया का
awaken
काम है
you.
तुमको सुलाना.
The work
माया
for
तुमको
illusion
देती है
is to
तसल्ली.
put you to
मैं भी
sleep.
देता हूँ तसल्ली. पर मेरी
The
तसल्ली
illusion
अलग
gives
है,
you
दुनिया की
guarantee.
तसल्ली अलग.
I also give you a guarantee. And the world's guarantee is different than mine.
मैं कहता हूँ
I
कि
say
इस ज्ञान का वृक्ष
that
अगर
this
तुम
tree
इसको
of this
बोओगे,
knowledge,
इसमें पानी डालोगे,
if you take this
इसमें
seed,
फल लगेंगे,
plant it,
उन फल
it
को
will
खा
grow
करके तुम
and it will bear
संतुष्टि
fruit.
का
You'll be
अनुभव
able to eat the
करोगे,
fruit
जो
and you'll
तुम्हारे को
enjoy the
भूख लगी
fruit
है.
and you'll be able to satisfy the
बच्चे,
hunger
तब भी ये भूख लगी
that you're
है.
experiencing.
और जब तुम
When you
बड़े
were
हुए,
a
तब भी ये
baby,
भूख
you
लगी
had
हुई
that
है.
hunger.
और
When you grew
अंतकाल
up,
तक तुमको ये
you
भूख
had that
लगी
hunger,
रहेगी.
and that
इस
hunger will
भूख
stay
को
with you
मिटा-
till
ये
the
भूख
very
खत्म नहीं हो
end.
सकती.
And this hunger can never
पर
be
इसको
finished,
संतुष्ट किया जा
but it
सकता
can
है.
be
और
satisfied.
तुम उसकी संतुष्टि
And
चाहते
if you
हो,
want the
तो इस बीज
satisfaction
को बो, ज्ञान
of
रूपी
this
बीज को
hunger,
बो.
then plant the
इसमें
seed of
सत्संग
knowledge.
रूपी, सेवा रूपी
Give it
पानी
the
डालो.
water of
इसमें
participation.
फल
Give
होंगे,
it the
उन
water of
फलों को
listening to the
खा करके
master.
तुम संतुष्ट
And it
हो
will bear
सकते हो.
fruit. You'll be
और
able to eat the
इसका
fruit and
अनुभव
find the satisfaction from it. And the experience of that is
ये नहीं है कि
instant.
रोटी खाई
It's not like you
और 2
eat
दिन
your
के बाद
bread
भूख खत्म होगी.
today and 2 days later you feel your satisfaction of
भोजन
hunger.
खाया.
No, you eat your food now. Your hunger is
भूख मिटा-
satisfied now.
क्या तुम भूख मिटाने के लिए भोजन करते हो कि
Are
तुमको
you
कभी भूख ही
eating
ना लगे?
food so that you'll never
अगर
ever get
तुमने
hungry
ये कर
again?
दिया,
If
कुछ
that's
ऐसा
what you're
प्रबंध कर
doing,
दिया कि
if
तुमको
you've made
कभी
an
भूख ही ना
arrangement
लगे,
so that you'll never
तुम्हारा
get
तो
hungry
राम नाम
again,
सत हो जाएगा.
then you're not going to be around for very long.
क्यों?
Why?
क्यों सत हो जाएगा?
Why would you not be around for long?
क्योंकि ये शरीर ही नहीं रहेगा.
Because this
इसको जो
body
कुछ
won't
चाहिए,
exist anymore. What it needs,
भूख लगती है,
when
भूख
you're
तुमको
hungry,
कहती है, खाओ. जब
when
तुम
hunger
खाते
is
हो,
there,
तो
it
उसको
says to you to
पोषण
eat.
मिलता है,
When you eat, you
ये
get the
शरीर
satisfaction. You get
जीता है, जागता
the
है.
nutrients that you need. The body is awake,
स्वस्थ है.
alive, it's moving, it's laughing, and
क्या
it
तुम
stays
अंदर भी
healthy.
स्वस्थ रहना चाहते हो?
Do you want to stay healthy within too?
अगर तुम अंदर भी स्वस्थ
If
रहना
you want to
चाहते हो,
stay healthy from
तुम
inside
देखो,
as well,
तुम नहीं समझते हो.
because
ये
you don't
अगर
understand,
तुम्हारे विचार, तुम्हारा
if
मन,
your
अगर
thoughts, your
भाग रहा है,
mind
भाग रहा है, भाग
is
रहा है,
just
भाग
running
रहा है,
and
भाग रहा है,
running and
उसमें कोई
running,
लगाम ही नहीं
and
है,
if there are no reins
बीमारी
on
है.
it, then that too is an illness.
ये भी बीमारी है.
That is also an illness.
और ये ऐसी बीमारी
And it
है
is such an illness
कि बाहर से तो तुम स्वस्थ
that on the
दिखोगे, पर
outside
अंदर
you
के
look
अंदर तुमको
healthy,
खाती रहेगी,
but
खाती
from
रहेगी,
the
खाती
inside
रहेगी,
it will
खाती
keep
रहेगी,
eating
खाती
at you,
रहेगी,
eating
खाती
at you, eating at you.
जब अंदर मनुष्य के संतुष्टि नहीं
When
है,
a
तो
human
ये भी
being
एक
is not
बीमारी है,
satisfied
ये भी
from
एक
within,
अभाव है.
that is also an illness. That is also a
बाहर
lack.
की
On the
जो भी
outside,
चीजें हैं, ये तो डॉक्टर
all the
संभाल
things that
लेगा,
are on the outside, the
परंतु
doctor
अंदर की
can
जो
take
बात
care
है,
of.
इसके
But
लिए
what's
समय का
inside,
डॉक्टर चाहिए.
you need the doctor of the
इसके
time.
लिए
You
समय का
need
डॉक्टर चाहिए.
the doctor of the
और
time.
यही मैं पहले कह
And
रहा
this is
था
what I was saying in the beginning,
कि अगर
that if
तुमको सचमुच में अपने जीवन में आनंद लाना है,
you
तो
truly
समय
want
के
to bring
महापुरुष
joy in your life,
को पकड़ो.
then
समय के
find the
महापुरुष को
master of the
पहचानो.
time, recognize the master of the time.
कई लोग हैं
There are people
घास उगाते हैं.
who
अब
grow
घास उगती है, उसमें
grass,
दूसरी घास भी उगती है जो ठीक
and
घास
when you
नहीं है.
grow grass, there's also
उनको
weeds
मालूम ही
that
नहीं
grow.
क्या अंतर है दोनों
And they
में.
don't know
और
the
जो
difference
माली होता है
between the
उसको
two,
मालूम
but the
है, ये
gardener
घास
knows
ठीक नहीं है,
the
ये
difference.
घास
He
यानी
knows the
इसको
weeds
निकालो.
from the grass, and he removes it.
आँख होनी चाहिए.
You need the
पहचान
vision,
होनी
you
चाहिए.
need the
क्या
recognition,
तुमने कभी
you need
कोशिश
the
किया
eyes.
पहचानने की?
Have you
क्या
ever
आपने-
tried to recognize? Have you ever tried to know?
यह है हृदय की बात.
This is
यह है
about the
ज्ञान की
heart.
बात.
This is about knowledge.
यह है सत्संग की बात.
This is what it is about listening to the master.
जो गुरु महाराज का सबसे बड़ा आशीर्वाद है
The greatest blessing of the Master
उनका सत्संग।
is his satsang.
लोग कई लोग आते हैं कहते हैं हमारे सिर
Many
पे हाथ
people
रखो।
say,
क्या
"Oh,
तुम्हारे
please
सिर पे
place your hand on my head. Give me your blessings." And I say,
तुम समझते
"What am I
हो?
going to do putting my hand on your head?"
हम तुम्हारे सिर पे अगर
You
हाथ रख दें
think
तुम्हारे सब
that if
कुछ
I
दूर हो
put
जाएगा।
my hand on your head, then your problems will
हमारा
be
ही हाथ है, हम
removed?
ही अपने सिर पे
That
हाथ
your pain, your sorrow will be removed? I have my hand, I should just put it on my own head.
हाथ रखने से संकट
By
दूर
placing
नहीं
the hand on the head, your sorrow is not removed.
होता। हाथ रखने
By
से
placing the
संकट दूर
hand,
नहीं होते हैं।
your distress is not
संकट
removed.
से बचने से संकट
But
दूर
by being saved,
और
by
इसकी
preventing
विधि
yourself
तुमको
from getting
मिलेगी
into that
सत्संग में।
distress, you are saved.
इसलिए
And
गुरु महाराज
the
जी का
method for
एक
that is
आशीर्वाद
found
है,
in
उनका
satsang.
सत्संग।
That's why the greatest blessing from the Master is his words, is his
ज्ञान
satsang.
गुरु महाराज जी का प्रसाद है।
Knowledge is a gift from the Master.
जब तुम्हारे अंदर जिज्ञासा है,
When within you have the
जिज्ञासा को
aspiration,
देखेंगे कि तुम हाँ
and he
अच्छी
will
तरह-
look at that
एक ही चीज-
aspiration,
देखो मेन मूल में हम एक ही
and
चीज देखना
he
चाहते
just
हैं
looks
कि
at
तुम
one
इस ज्ञान का अभ्यास
essential
करोगे,
thing,
इस
that
ज्ञान
will you
को,
practice
ये
this
जो
knowledge,
बीज है, इसको
that
ठीक
this
ढंग से
seed
बोओगे,
that is being
इसमें
given to
पानी
you, will
डालोगे
you
और इसका फल खाओगे।
sow it properly? Will you take care of it? And will you enjoy its fruits? In other words,
इसको तुम बेकार नहीं जानो।
that you won't waste it.
बस
That's all.
जो तुमसे बन पड़ेगा
Whatever
करो।
you can do, do.
ये बीज
This seed
बहुत बलवान है,
is very powerful.
बहुत बलवान है।
Very powerful.
ये ज्ञान
This knowledge
बहुत ही सुंदर है और
is
फल
very
देने वाला है।
beautiful, and it bears fruit. It gives fruit.
और इसका फल क्या है?
And what
इसका
is
फल
its
है वो
fruit?
शांति
Its
जो
fruit
हृदय के अंदर
is the peace which can be felt in the heart, not in the mind, but it can be felt in the heart.
परंतु
However,
इसको सत्संग रूपी पानी
it needs the water of satsang. It needs that aspiration. It needs those things.
इन सब चीजों की जरूरत है।
Those are the things that are necessary.
एक दिन नहीं,
Not for one day.
सारे पेड़ हैं,
Look at all these trees.
रात गुजार लेते हैं।
They pass through the night.
सूरजमुखी का फूल है,
And you look at
देखा है
the
तुमने?
sunflower. Have you ever seen a sunflower?
बहुत ही प्यार है सूरज से,
It has a lot of love for the sun.
पर क्योंकि उसको मालूम है कि सूरज उदय होगा,
But because it knows that the sun will rise,
इसलिए
therefore,
रात भर वो इंतजार करता है।
all night long, the sunflower waits.
परंतु अगर दूसरे दिन सूरज ना आए,
But the next day, if the sun did not rise, what would be the condition of that sunflower?
जब रात हो जाती है
At night,
तो
when
रात
night
को
falls,
मुड़ता है,
then the sunflower
सूरज निकलेगा।
turns and positions itself
ये है
in
प्रेम,
position where the sun is going to rise,
ये है
getting ready. That is love. That is love.
तैयार उस सूरज के लिए वो रहता है। जैसे ही सूरज
It
उगता
gets
है, फिर उसको
prepared,
जहाँ
and as soon
सूरज
as the
जाता है,
sun
उसके
rises,
पीछे
it
पीछे वो
follows the
जाता है,
sun, follows
और
the
जब
sun.
सूर्य अस्त हो जाता
And when
है,
the sun
फिर
sets,
उगता है, फिर
once
वो
again,
तैयार हो जाता है।
that sunflower comes back to that position and gets ready. That's hope.
और पता नहीं कितने हजारों लाखों साल हो गए हैं,
And who knows how many hundreds and thousands and millions of years have passed, but that sun has never disappointed that sunflower.
अब सूरज का और उस सूरजमुखी फूल का संबंध बन गया।
Now there's that relationship between the sun
को
and that
ये नहीं मालूम
sunflower.
कि सूरज को अगर मालूम हो सूरज
I don't know
फूल के बारे
if the sun knows about the
में,
sunflower.
उसको नहीं मालूम,
The sun does not know about the sunflower.
फूल ने अपना संबंध
But that
सूरज से
flower
जोड़ लिया है।
has made that
सूरज ने
connection,
अपना संबंध
that relationship with the
सूरजमुखी
sun.
से नहीं जोड़ा, पर
The sun has
सूरजमुखी
not
फूल
made the
ने
connection or the
अपना
relationship with the sunflower, but the sunflower
भक्त भी
has
ऐसा
made
होना
its
चाहिए,
connection with the sun, and the devotee should be the same,
जो अपना नाता
who makes his
तभी
connection.
भक्ति होती। इसी
That's
वक्त
when
ये
devotion
भक्ति है।
can be there. That's what you
कोई
call
कहे,
devotion.
क्या है?
People say, what is devotion? That is devotion.
क्या चाहिए?
What do you want? Nothing.
कुछ नहीं.
Nothing.
क्या मांगा?
What was
भक्त
asked?
ने क्या मांगा?
What did the devotee
वही
ask
जो
for?
उसके पास पहले से ही
That
है,
which he
वही
already
मांगा.
had from the start. What was it? Devotion.
भक्ति दे.
Just give me devotion.
हनुमान से जब भगवान प्रसन्न हुए,
When Lord Ram was pleased with Hanuman, he asked, "What would you like?"
जो कुछ मांगना चाहे.
Whatever you want to ask for.
हनुमान के लिए
For
भगवान
Hanuman,
हनुमान को गले लगाते हैं कि तूने मेरे
Lord
लिए
Ram
बहुत
hugged,
कुछ किया.
embraced Hanuman and said, "You've done so much for me."
परंतु हनुमान
But Hanuman
मैं तो सेवक हूँ.
says, "I'm just a
ये मेरी
servant.
सेवा है.
This was my service.
मैंने कुछ नहीं किया.
I
मैंने तो
didn't
सिर्फ
do
आपकी
anything.
सेवा की.
I only served."
अब भगवान राम कहते हैं
And
मांग.
Lord Ram says, "Ask."
कल्याण अगर मांगना चाहता था,
If Hanuman wanted to ask for liberation, he could have gotten liberation. If he wanted to have the kingdom of the world, he could have had that, to rule the world.
पर ये सब चीजें नहीं मांगी.
But he didn't ask for any of those
मेरा
things.
बेटा हो जाए,
May I have a son?
मेरी बेटी हो जाए,
May I have a daughter?
धन दौलत शोहरत,
Wealth, prosperity,
ये
fame.
सब चीजें नहीं मांगी.
He didn't ask for any of these things.
कि मुझको आप भक्ति दीजिए.
Please just give me devotion.
क्यों?
Why?
क्योंकि ये एक ऐसी चीज है, प्रेम.
Because this is one such thing. There's two kinds of love.
एक वो
One,
जिसमें लेन देन है,
which is
वो भी लोग प्रेम
conditional.
कहते हैं, पर वो सच्चा
That is
प्रेम
also
नहीं.
called love by people, but that's not the
और
true
एक
love.
वो प्रेम
And then there's
जिसमें
one
लेन
love
देन है ही नहीं.
which is not conditional.
प्रेम है,
Love is.
कुछ देना नहीं,
There's nothing to
कोई
give,
अपेक्षा नहीं, कोई
There's no
आशा नहीं कि
expectations,
ऐसा होना
there's
चाहिए,
no
ऐसा होना चाहिए, ऐसा होना चाहिए.
conditions
जब
that
वो
it should be
प्रेम
like
हो
this, it
जाता
should
है,
be
तो
like
वो है
that.
सच्चा प्रेम.
When that love is experienced, that's the true love.
और वो प्रेम,
And that love,
एक और इसमें शर्त है, वो किससे हो सकता है प्रेम?
who can you experience that love with?
ऐसा जो मनुष्य प्रेम कर सकते हैं कि उसमें दो शक्तियां हैं मनुष्य में.
Because a human
ऐसा
being
प्रेम करने की भी
has
शक्ति है
two
जिसमें वो
strengths.
आशाएं रखता हो.
One, he can have that love in which there is that
ऐसा
hope
होना चाहिए,
or
ऐसा
expectations that you need to do this, you should do that, you should be like this.
और एक प्रेम है
And that other love,
जिसमें सिर्फ प्रेम है,
which has just love.
परंतु जो पहला वाला प्रेम है,
The first
जिसमें
love,
आशाएं बंधी हुई हैं,
in which there is all the expectations,
वो उसी से हो सकता है
you can only
जो
have
उन आशाओं
that
की
love
पूर्ति करे.
for that person who can fulfill those
दूसरा वाला
expectations. But the other love
उसी से हो सकता है
can only be with the one
जो जीता
who is
जागता
the living,
कल्पित नहीं.
who is living, not imaginary.
प्रत्यक्ष, जैसे
Living.
सूरजमुखी,
Just like the sunflower,
सूरजमुखी उसको असली सूरज चाहिए.
the sunflower
फोटो नहीं.
needs the real sun, not a photo
समझे ना
of the
मतलब?
sun.
अगर
You know
तुम
what I
फोटो
mean?
ले लो सूरज की,
If you take a photo
और
of the
उसको
sun
चढ़ाओ सूरजमुखी
and
के
move
ऊपर,
it in
तो वो
front
थोड़ी
of the
आएगा.
sunflower is not going to move with the photo of
उसको
the
फोटो
sun.
नहीं चाहिए.
It
उसको
doesn't
कल्पना
want the
नहीं चाहिए.
sun's photo. It doesn't want the
असली
imagination.
सूरज
It wants
चाहिए.
the real sun.
सूरज असली हो
If the sun is real,
तो वो उसको एक सूरजमुखी बेचारा छोटा
then
सा
that
फूल
tiny
के
little
ऊपर,
sunflower on the
एक
earth,
सूरज जो इतना
and look at the
बड़ा
sun, which is
और
huge, which is
लाखों,
so
लाखों,
big,
लाखों, लाखों
which is
मील
hundreds of thousands of
दूर
millions miles
से
away from the
किससे
earth.
प्रेम किया उसने?
And who did that sunflower
आसपास
love?
किससे कर लेता?
It could have loved something close
ऐसे से
by,
प्रेम किया,
but it loved
इतनी दूर रहता
that
है,
which lives so far away.
इतनी दूर रहता
So
है,
far
रहता
away,
है,
but it does
है।
exist. It exists.
है, और उसको सूरजमुखी
And that
की गर्मी का एहसास
the sunflower
है,
can feel
उसके प्रकाश
its
का एहसास
warmth,
कर सकता
it
है,
can feel its
और
light,
उससे प्रेम,
and the sunflower loves the sun.
जैसे पतंगे को भी प्रेम है,
Just like the moth also has that love.
पतंगे को भी प्रेम
The
है,
moth also has that
पर
love.
वो आग होनी चाहिए,
But that flame
वो light
needs to
होनी
be
चाहिए।
burning. That light
अगर
needs to be
सिर्फ
there.
बल्ब है
If
और
there's
जल
just
नहीं
a
रहा
bulb
है,
and it's
पतंगा
not
उसके
lit,
पीछे नहीं भागेगा,
the moth won't follow that.
पतंगा उसके पीछे
The
नहीं
moth
भागेगा।
won't follow that bulb.
मधुमक्खी को
A bee
उस मधु से जो पुष्प के अंदर है उससे
loves the
प्रेम है।
nectar that is inside the
कागज का फूल
flower.
रख लो, हो सकता है वो थोड़ी बहुत देर मंडराए,
If you put a flower made of paper in front of that bee, maybe it'll buzz around it for a little bit, but not for long, and it will
चाहे वो
leave.
खाई में क्यों ना
And
हो,
even if that bee has to go into a ditch,
परंतु है,
but it will go there because there is the flower there and it has the nectar.
पास
And it goes to that nectar and extracts that nectar
जो मिठास है
and extracts that sweetness and takes that and takes it
होना
back
चाहिए,
because it needs to be there, not in the imagination,
कल्पित नहीं,
not imaginary.
प्रत्यक्ष में होना चाहिए।
It has to be in reality.
ज्ञान
Knowledge
कल्पित नहीं,
is
प्रत्यक्ष में
not
होना चाहिए।
in the imagination, it needs to be real.
समय का सद्गुरु कल्पित नहीं,
The master of the time does not need to be imaginary, he needs to be real. Devotion needs to be real, not imaginary. The joy of knowledge needs to be real, not imaginary. The joy of satsang needs to be real, not imaginary.
और इस जीवन का आनंद कल्पित नहीं।
And the joy of this life needs to be real, not imaginary.
बड़े बड़े लोग हैं,
They are people,
कहीं कुछ हो जाता
big
है
people, something happens to them.
तो नाक भी कटी,
Maybe their ego gets shattered
उनको रिजाइन भी करना,
and they may have to resign.
दुख होता है उनको,
And they feel
चेहरे पे
pain.
दिखाई देता है।
You can see it on their face that they're feeling pain.
अभी आईपीएल को लेकर के कितना झंझट
Recently,
बन
if
रखा
you
है।
saw the whole commotion that happened with the IPL, the Indian Premier League,
खेलने वाले खेलेंगे,
the players are going to play. The people who are going to come observe the game, they'll still be there.
किसी की छुट्टी हो गई तो
But
देखो,
somebody loses their position, and you look at their face and they're sad.
2-3 दिन पहले
2-3 days ago, we were on our way to the airport,
एक क्या कहते हैं भिखारे ने
and there was a beggar,
भीख मांग रही थी वो,
and she was begging.
तो पिछली बार भी पिछले
So
साल
last year, too,
भी वही थी वो,
she was the same woman that was there,
और उसको पैसे दिए,
and we had given her money then.
हमने कहा दे दो उसको कुछ,
And I said, give her something now, too. Whatever was there in the car, we gave to her.
और फिर वो वहां खड़ी हुई थी।
And she was standing there
अब
again.
उससे कहा जाए कि तेरे को किस बात का दुख है,
And if you tell her, what are you in pain about?
तू 10 रुपए
What are
नहीं
you
दे
unhappy about? She'll be happy in just
सकता।
10
ऐसे लोग
rupees.
हैं
There are some people
जिनका एक नाखून
whose one
10
nail
रुपए से ज्यादा साफ होगा,
would cost more than 10 rupees to clean.
छोटा सा भी टुकड़ा अगर
Even a
साफ हो
tiny
गया
part of
होगा,
their nail, if it's cleaned, it would
उनके
be
लिए
costing
ये सब
more
लोग
than
की
10
नाखून
rupees.
का
So
बैग
think of it like this, that for them, 10 rupees is
उदास
worth
वो
the
भी
dirt
होते हैं,
under their nails. So they too get sad,
और उदास वो भी होते हैं
and
जिनके पास कुछ नहीं।
those get sad too who have nothing.
क्यों? कि ये सब पेट का
Why?
धंधा है।
Because this is all for the fulfillment of the stomach. We're doing everything so we can feed
और
ourselves.
एक ने बना रखा है कि
And one has done it in such a way that
कहाँ से आएगी?
where will I
और
get my
दूसरे
next
बना-
meal
दूसरे ने
from?
बना रखा
And the
है
other
कि
person says,
दुनिया मेरे को
what
किस
will the
नजरों
world
से देखेगी?
think of me? What will the eyes of the world see when they look at me? So whether your reason is up here or here, the cause of pain is the cause of pain.
और कौन दुखी है?
And who is unhappy?
रंक दुखी,
The
राजा
pauper
दुखी,
is unhappy, and so is the king.
दुखी, सकल संसार,
The
सारा
whole
का
world is unhappy.
सारा। और जो सचमुच में
And the one who
Yes.
truly
चीज के साथ जो तुम्हारे अंदर स्थित है, जिसने उसका सहारा लिया है,
takes
वही।
the support of that thing which resides within the heart, they are happy.
पर अगर तुम सचमुच में भक्ति करना
But if you want to experience that devotion,
पहले तो तुमको भक्त बनना ही पड़ेगा।
first you'll need to be a devotee.
आंख,
Eyes.
भक्त की आंखों से देखना
You'll
पड़ेगा।
need to look through the eyes of a devotee.
तब तुमको भगवान मिलेगा,
then you will find God.
तब तुम भक्ति कर पाओगे.
Then you'll be able to experience devotion.
और तुम समझते हो
And you
कि
think
तुमको भक्त की आंखें नहीं चाहिए,
that you don't need the eyes of the devotee? Yes, you do.
नहीं तो क्या दिखाई देगा.
Or else what will you see?
अगर काल से छूटना है,
If you want to be saved from the hand of death,
कबीर का
then as Kabir says, the words of the Master are the ones that save you from the hand of death.
लोहा बनना पड़ेगा ताकि वो
You'll need to be that iron so that you can be attracted to that magnet.
चिपक जाओ.
You can be attracted to that magnet.
ये संबंध,
That is the relationship.
लोहा बनना पड़ेगा.
You'll need to be the iron.
क्या तुम बनने के लिए तैयार?
Are you ready to do so?
ये जो प्रश्न है,
This
खुद से
question
पूछना पड़ेगा.
you'll have to ask for yourself.
और जब अगर हृदय में ठान ली,
And when in your heart, if you have decided that yes,
अपनी जिंदगी में
I do want this in my life, I want the real living experience.
मैं उस चीज का अनुभव करना चाहता
I
हूं
want
जो
to
मेरे
experience
अंदर
that
है,
thing which is within me,
जिसमें सब कुछ है.
in which everything resides.
इस हर एक श्वास में
With every breath,
जो वो अविनाशी है,
that immortal
हर एक श्वास
that resides in each and every
तुम्हारे
breath,
साथ आता है.
he comes with you.
देखो, ये जो शरीर है,
See this body?
इसको नाश होना,
It is
ये
mortal.
तुम समझते हो ये
It
नाश
will
नहीं
be
होना है.
destroyed one day. You think it won't be destroyed.
नहीं 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 नहीं.
No, no, no,
जैसे
no,
ही तुम
no.
माँ की कोख से निकले हो,
As soon as you came out from the womb of your mother,
लगा तो तुमको यही किए.
you might feel that, oh, this baby, you're getting big.
समय
But from that very moment, you are in the process of being destroyed.
और धीरे धीरे धीरे
And slowly, slowly, slowly,
उम्र है जो भी
whatever your age is,
चीजों का नाश होता रहता
everything is destroyed.
है. और क्या है?
And what is that thing?
अविनाशी तुमसे आंख मिचोले खेल रहा है.
That immortal is with you with every
झूले में
breath.
तुमको झुला रहा है.
That
हर एक
immortal
सांस
is swinging you
ये
on that
उसकी
swing
कृपा,
of each
ये
breath.
है वो
That is the grace
जो आ रहा है.
with every breath that's coming.
का कौन मान रहा है मेरे झूले?
And you're thinking, who's giving me the push on my swing? That one is giving you the push on your swing.
जो
The
सब जगह
immortal,
है,
the
जहाँ
one who
कोई
never
ऐसी जगह ही
dies,
नहीं है जहाँ वो न हो.
the one who resides everywhere. There is no such place where that immortal isn't. The one that was, is, and always will be.
तुम नहीं,
Not you,
तो वो रहेगा.
not you. The immortal will always be there.
कैसा है वो देखने में, कैसा लगता
What does he
है?
look like?
उसको ना रंग की जरूरत
He
है,
doesn't need color.
ना उसको आँख की
He
जरूरत है,
doesn't
ना
need
उसको दांत की
eyes.
जरूरत
He
है,
doesn't
ना
need
उसको मुंह
teeth.
की जरूरत
He
है, ना
doesn't need a
उसको नाक की
mouth.
जरूरत
He
है,
doesn't
ना
need a
उसको कान की
nose.
जरूरत
He
है,
doesn't
ना
need
उसको बाल की
ears. He
जरूरत
doesn't
है.
need hair.
सब जगह है.
He is everywhere.
सबसे बड़ी बात,
And the greatest thing
हर एक श्वास के
is with every
आ रहा
breath
है, जा रहा है.
comes in and comes out.
तुमको जो ये समझा दे,
And the one that makes you understand this, the value of each
आनंद
breath,
को, क्योंकि जब भी वो क्या
and
नाम है उसका?
has you explain about the joy, because what's the name given to that creator?
सत्य
Truth,
है वो.
consciousness, and bliss. He
और
is
अपना
that truth.
आनंद से भरा हुआ
And
है.
filled
जब
with
भी
that
वो
bliss.
तुम्हारे अंदर आता
And
है,
every time it comes
आनंद
in you,
लेकर के आता है. और जो उस
brings with
आनंद
it
से तुमको
that
जोड़
joy.
दे,
And the one that connects you to that
उससे
joy,
तुमको जोड़ दे, तुम्हारे जीवन में आनंद ही आनंद.
your
इसको
life
कहते हैं
will be filled with joy, filled with bliss. That's why it's called truth, consciousness,
क्या
and
तुम
bliss.
जुड़ना चाहते हो?
The question is, do you want to connect yourself to
कहते
it?
हैं जी, हमारा मन नहीं लगता है.
Some people
अब
say,
ये कम
oh,
हो गई है, हम मानते हैं.
I
लोग
can't
कम कहते हैं
practice
कि
very
मन नहीं
easily. And now I'm hearing that a lot less. You know, people used to say that before, but now it's a lot less.
किसी से बात कर रहा
A few
था,
days ago, I was talking to someone,
जब पहले मैं बैठता था,
and that person
बहुत
said,
मन लगता था.
in the beginning, when I first received knowledge and I used to just sit down to practice, I could really focus, and now it's not as focused.
कि पहले
And I said, the only difference is, before, whatever you used to receive, you used to accept it,
और आज
and now
ये आशाओं के साथ
you sit there
बैठते
with
हो
your
कि
expectations,
हम इतनी देर
that
बैठेंगे,
if I'm going to
हमारा
sit
आनंद
this
ऐसा होना
long
चाहिए,
and my
हमारा
joy
आनंद
should
ऐसा
be
होना
like
चाहिए,
this,
हमको
my
इतनी
joy
देर
should
आनंद
be like
मिलना
that,
चाहिए,
I
हमको
should
इतनी देर
receive
आनंद
joy for this long of a time.
क्यों?
Why? Because there was a time when you used to count those moments, because this is what happens with love. That's why it's so important to listen to the Master, because listening to the Master keeps that love alive. When you are in love with someone, you count those moments. You used to count those moments when you used to be able to be with your beloved. And then as time passes on, then the person starts to count, oh, I still have 1 more hour to be with the person. They start to look at the moments in a different way. They look at the different clock. When will I be freed from here? When can I leave from here? So one is that I received. For that bee, in English the word for that is nectar. So how much nectar does that bee find? How much nectar do you think a bee finds in that flower? You've seen the honeycomb. There's a lot of nectar there. But in the flower, how much can it find? Very, very little. But does the bee ever say, this flower has very little nectar, I'm going to find such a flower that I can fill up an entire bucket of nectar? No. So little bit at a time. Does it remain little? No. When you look at the river, so much water is flowing, but when that river started, how did it start? Do you know? 1 drop. 1 drop. 1 drop. 1 drop. 1 here, 1 there, 1 here, 1 there, 1 here, 1 there. Have you ever seen the rain fall? When rain falls, do droplets fall in big, large sizes? No. 1 drop at a time. 1 drop, 1 drop, 1 drop. And it keeps falling and falling and falling. And where did this water come from? Have you ever looked at the clouds? Clouds. What is a cloud? It looks like cotton balls, like nothing. Just like fog, but fog in the sky. But so much water. It starts with 1 drop at a time, and it fills up so much water. And when it rains with 1 drop at a time, 1 drop at a time, 1 drop at a time. And it fills the entire area filled with water, water, water. Hundreds of thousands of gallons of water fall when it rains. And you think that the drop is very little. No, you don't understand the value of the drop. Understand the value of the drop. You want the ocean, but you don't realize that the ocean is made of those drops. So understand the drop. Because the one who understands the drop, he will truly understand that he will find the entire ocean in that drop. So this is what we need to understand. Everybody knows there's the drop in the ocean, but that the ocean resides in the drop. Very few understand that. That in this drop, I've gotten a drop. It started. It started. When in the desert, even 1 drop falls, it won't go empty. It won't go empty. There in the desert, at night, Even the dew
जीव जंतु उसी को
that forms
पानी पी के
the insects and bugs will drink from the dewdrops and find their satisfaction.
एक एक बूंद की
So every drop,
बूंद का महत्व
every
उनको समझ
drop's
में आ
value has been
वो
understood.
भी उस बूंद
And the
का
day
महत्व
that you
समझ में आ
understand the
जाएगा,
value of each drop,
उस दिन बैठ के
that day
अभ्यास
when you
करने
sit down to
का
practice,
आनंद ही कुछ और।
the joy you'll get from it will be unique.
यही तो- और कई लोगों के साथ यही बात होती है।
And this is what happens to so many people.
ना घाट का रहा ना घर का रहा।
They're neither here nor there. Like there's the story about it was raining gold, and the washerman thinks, well, nobody's going to come get the gold from my house, but here in the alley belongs to me, but there's no wall, so I should go over there, gather the gold, until then I can come back and pick up the gold from my house. But by the time he goes to the alley, all the gold was gone, and when he comes back home, there too, it was all gone. So there's the saying for that washerman that he was not neither here nor there, and this is what happens to the human being as well. That's what happens to people. But experience. In your life, experience this knowledge, understand satsang, understand what the master is saying, learn to experience devotion, learn to love, not just, oh, I want this, I want that, I want this. Even if it's in the path of devotion. Yes, please give me a son, please do this, do that. And there are people who, they don't stop. One after another. They keep at it, they keep at it. And they keep at it. They have 10 children, 12 children. Some people have 6 kids at one shot. You should be very grateful to God. Thank you, God. It's a good thing that you only gave me one child. To have 6 at a time, 6 babies, what are you going to do? Wouldn't you be overwhelmed? 6. And even more than that. Some people have 15 babies. 15 babies. An entire football team they have. This is what the world is giving to people. But what has that Creator given? He's given you this, the most beautiful thing, this life, this breath, this human body. And He's giving you this breath. More than that, what more would you want to ask for? The greatest blessing. That's when you can experience that joy, when the human being looks within himself. You'll only find God when you look within yourself. And if you want to experience that, then there's no greater thing that's more beautiful than knowledge to do so. Immediately takes your attention within. Immediately takes your focus within. And you can experience that which is inside. But learn and understand this. The aspiration of that love is inside of you. Awaken it. Don't stop it. Awaken that aspiration. Everything that you need is all with you. That sunflower. Learn to be like that sunflower. Learn to love the sun. Learn to love the sun. Understand in your life. Stay in that bliss. That's what we're talking about. Heaven needs to be whilst you are alive, not after you die. Whilst you are alive, you need to experience heaven. That's why you have this knowledge. That's why you receive the gift of listening to the Master. Make that effort to understand what is being said to me. It's for your own benefit. Nobody else is going to talk to you about this kind of thing that is for your own benefit. What you get to hear in satsang, you won't be able to hear that anywhere else. Only the Master of the time can come and talk to you about these things.
आंख है,
These eyes
पहचानो और पहचान जाओ कि
recognize,
तुम्हारी जिंदगी
and once you recognize, your life too will be lush and green. Lush and green.
हरी भरी
Lush and green.